All right, well, when we want to hear what's going on in the surf industry, we go straight to the source. We're going to bring in Sean Smith, Executive Director of the Surf Industry Manufacturers Association. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Rob. Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. So you're kind of at this interesting intersection of a lot of parts of the industry and hear a lot. What's the general vibe you're getting and kind of what are you hearing from the members these days?
Let's see. I think like most outdoor lifestyle companies, the pandemic for everybody across the world, shockwaves and so forth, and then coming out of it, stimulus money, e-commerce, a lot of brands did have a decent e-commerce system in place. So the vibe was, all right, this was really bad, but we're coming out of it and it's better than we thought. So we're still seeing that. The fact that, people wanted to get out to the beach was fantastic. Nothing better than that. But I think right now we're seeing that's being tempered by where do we go next? What's next? And what is the fall going to bring? If the pandemic happened heading into summer, which is a perfect lineup for selling surfboards and people wanting to get to the beach to get out of their house. So that was great, but that's now being tempered by what does this all mean come fall? And I think the other thing that's often forgotten in our industry, as I'm sure it is with many other lifestyle industries, is the fact that so many people had to be laid off and furloughed. It's painful. Those people are family, and while everybody wants to feel good about how we rebounded, there's still a lot of heartache out there. A lot of people that got laid off. A lot of people that furloughed and had to sit at home and start looking for jobs, and that's a tough thing to happen in our industry.
Yep, absolutely. I know when that first, back in March when we talked, you talked about trying to use the organization as, a point to keep people in touch as well. Not only just necessarily find the next job, but just to feel connected still as, a lot of us who've been in this for a long time. You said it's family, it's people you know. So have there been some successes there and kind of keeping the tribe together, as we would have said back in the day?
Yeah, that's really one of the main things of what we do at SIMA, one of the highlights of what we've always done, and I think we've gotten better at doing, which is bringing people together. And yes, we provide market research and benefits and business discounts, but those are the tangibles, but the intangibles are really building relationships, strengthening the industry, never forgetting how fortunate we are to work in this type of business, but also creating that sense of family. It makes everybody work harder at this industry if you see even your competitors as family, the crazy aunt, the crazy uncle, the forgetful cousin and so forth. But there is that camaraderie. It's very competitive, like you would have with sibling rivalry and so forth. But at the end of the day, we do watch out for each other. So we have been doing a lot of that. We've had some CEO roundtables where we're trying to get our industry leaders together so they can bounce ideas off of one another. And it's really interesting to see and watch as these, seasoned veterans want to know, well, what are you guys doing? When are you bringing your people back? Have you opened your offices yet? Those are the type of things that are invaluable when you can do that in a, for lack of a better word, a safe setting, meaning, it's neutral. So yeah, we're doing that. And the speaker series, obviously, that full well as our host for that event. We're trying to bring people online, bring them together online, even if we need to do it through Zoom and whatever else. That's how we're doing our board meetings. So we're still doing that. It's just, we're definitely at a disadvantage from not being able to do it in person.
So I was fortunate enough to get out in the water and do some observational research recently, and there's definitely plenty of people out surfing. It's been great. And again, the talk has been about this, pandemic, surf boom. It's been good. Do we have any data coming across yet, or anything more substantial to support that that's what's going on? Or at that point, is it just kind of like word of mouth, talking to retailers, talking to manufacturers?
No, it's definitely measurable. We've been partnered with Action Watch for a number of years, and Patrick Schmeidel and his team are phenomenal. They do such a great job of collecting data, not just collecting it and sending out a report, but crunching it and giving analysis and insights from it. So what we're seeing, not only through Action Watch, but then anecdotally as well, speaking directly with brands, is yeah, there's definitely a boom. Surfboard sales, hard goods, surf sales were through the roof coming out of the reopening, and there's no question about that. That's true data. You talk to board builders, a lot of them say we're out of stock. We're making things as fast as we can. Wetsuits. Now you have the challenge of which retailer gets what and who has to wait longer than someone else. But it's definitely real, and board short sales are up. Anything that involved getting people down to the beach. So it's not just anecdotal. It's definitely a real boom. The big question is now, what do we do with that? What happens after that? And, especially heading into the fall and winter, cooler weather, and how do we convert a lot of those boom people to be permanent customers?
So I was wondering, is there something specific right now that the members are asking you for, some concerns they're sharing? Would that kind of be the top one, is how we, translate this current momentum into something more sustainable?
Yeah, I think we'll need to do that at our next CEO roundtable. That'll be the big question. And obviously with social media and brands now speaking directly to their customers, the brands will have a lot of that work will be their own, meaning they're going to need to convert those customers. They're going to need messaging through the fall and winter that converts them to a permanent customer, if you will, permanent follower. So they're just going to have to find ways to do that. And obviously, back to school and holiday are going to be challenged without question. But really, it's going to be in the messaging and the marketing, and getting those people to stay in the water even during the cooler months, or at least return come spring and summer. So it's something we'll need to talk about, and we really need to hope that competitive surfing gets back up and running. The Olympics moving to 2021 could help. The interest of surfing has boomed during this. So as we come into next summer, the Olympics will put it all back up into the forefront. And the WSL has built such a great following. Huge following, even just outside of core surfers, of getting people watching surfing. So that's what we need, is getting competitive surfing back out into the public eye.
Are you suspecting or seeing any, permanent shifts, or things that were kind of, quick adjustments in the beginning now seem like maybe it just accelerated the timeline on some things, like maybe in terms of, product line releases, seasonality, online catalogs? You feel like there's some things that are standing out to you that are probably changed now for good?
Oh, for sure. So the digital catalog piece is really interesting. In 2019, we started a big move. Board President Shannon North from Board Riders had one of his big initiatives coming in as president. He said, we have to get our industry to move to digital catalogs. So we made that a big initiative. We did a lot of research on what the economic and environmental impact a digital catalog can have on a company. And it was clear that it was the right move to make. There's still a lot of people that love their printed catalog, be able to mark them up. There's a way of, we're very much an industry that gets set in its ways. Everything from board builders to retailers, and even to brands and reps, that this is how I do business. I really don't want to stray from that. Pandemic comes in, and now if you didn't have any digital or online catalog platform, you were in a major position of disadvantage. So the online catalog is no longer a discussion, when should we, how deep should we go? It's how quickly can I get there and make it even more robust. So the changes we're seeing, that's a permanent shift. I can't see us making that temporary and then shifting back to printed catalogs. We're going to need to ease out of all printed catalogs. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you don't have an online platform, you are going to simply lose sales and not be able to do that. So that's printed catalogs. That's definitely a shift. And then seasons and line breaks are definitely going to change. And that's based on our CEO roundtables, where, the smaller brands that are just doing 2 seasons, they're not going to have to adjust or change much. They're already releasing lines close to their seasons. The bigger brands are the ones that have all indicated they're going to move from 4 seasons to 3. I just don't think there's any other way around that. I think it's a natural move. It's been a long time coming, and the line breaks will push for them closer to season as well. So that's a good shift, one that we needed. Now it'll be just a matter of how many breaks are done for each season. Is it, every month there's a season, or will people scale back a little bit? That's really, those are the big changes that I can see coming.
And then looking away from the kind of macro trends in the industry itself to the logistics of SIMA itself and what you're doing, and how have you adjusted, and kind of what changes have been made moving forward to your big initiatives, obviously from fundraising to Waterman's Ball to awards, things like that. Have you had to change and deal with that?
Yeah, we've definitely had some changes. I mean, starting with everybody else in America learning what a PPP loan was, how to get one, how to send 9 of them in to get one response, furloughs, unfortunately, salary reduction. I mean, we're doing everything just in terms of survival, like every other company in America has done. And I think we've done a decent job of that. It's been painful, continues to be painful, but we're still here, and we're not going anywhere. So that's great news. We had to put membership renewals on hold because our member brands weren't selling product. There was a lockdown other than e-commerce, but so we did the right thing and just put all that on hold. So that was a big adjustment to not pursue membership renewals. We started that back up on August 1, offering 3 months free for everybody for this year. To reflect 3 months of lost business, and that's going well. So the good news is brands are quickly coming back online and saying, "Yeah, let's renew, let's get started." So that's great. And then Waterman's, obviously that didn't happen because that's an event, draws over 500 people in a small confined area. Even though it was outdoors, it's still not going to happen. So we did something called Clean Oceans for Surf campaign. And we asked all of our member brands, as many as would agree to it, to donate 10% of their e-commerce sales from their own website for the weekend of August 28th through the 30th. And the point in doing that is, we support 14 different environmental beneficiaries, and we wanted to make sure each one of them still got some grant amount this year. The work they do doesn't take a holiday because of the pandemic. There's still plastic in the ocean, maybe even more so now that everybody went to the beach when they were allowed out of their house. So the environmental issues are still out there. And the SIMA Awards, right now we're ramping up to do the SIMA Awards, celebrating the best of 2020, which ought to be interesting.
Yeah, right. Low bar.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I think it'll be. We probably need to have a crisis award this year for the best production of product under crisis. We won't do a live ceremony because it would have to happen in Q1 of 2021. There's just too much uncertainty, but we can at least celebrate what's been happening. I think that's really, really important, is that we do that and not put that on hold. We need that probably now more than ever, is to really have something to get excited about and celebrate great work, because there has been some great work being done this year. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It's easy to joke about the year, but there's been some amazing efforts behind the scenes out there, and product, and again, with everything flying off the shelves.
You look at what some of the brick and mortar. Sorry to interrupt. What some of the brick and mortar stores have done to survive. You talk about innovative and creative. We've learned quickly that brick and mortar is not dead. I mean, e-commerce continues to grow. It became more important during the pandemic, but as soon as we reopened, it just showed how important it is for people to get out and shop in person, to socialize and to see everything and to be able to touch. And I think it's proven to us that brick and mortar is never going to die. It needs to be a great experience, and people want that. They need that tactile interaction with the product, and they need that social aspect of being out there shopping.
Right, it was almost like the classic psychiatrist move, or the basic, like, oh, I can't have something, I want it more, so when the shops were shut down, it's like, what do you mean I can't going to surf rides. I'm an American. I do what I want. I want to get in there. So when it came back on, it was, and people couldn't wait to get in and go from there and get outside. So that's solid.
Absolutely.
How about, you mentioned the CEO roundtables. You're in touch with a lot of the leaders, a lot of the brands. Have you felt the kind of that communal, coming together for the greater good thing? Is it, this has been an easy time where everyone's like, oh, I got to look out for myself. I have my own concerns. And I'm sure there's some of that, but, how has that gone? Are people looking out for each other, as an industry? Can we keep, feel good about that direction?
Absolutely. Our board meetings are still extremely well attended, even during the pandemic. It's not like people said, what's the point of getting on a Zoom call? Trust me, I think everybody is done with Zoom calls, and people do want to get back into that live interaction, even in meetings. I never thought I'd say that, but I think there will be a day when everybody's excited to have that first meeting where there's more than 2 people and 3 people in the room. So there is that sense of we need each other. And I think that's what's been most interesting, is not just helping each other out, but we need each other. We need to hear how everybody else is doing, or how are you handling this? And that started at the CEO roundtable and continues at that board meeting level. So there is definitely that sense of camaraderie. I mean, it's super competitive out there, and everybody had to really hunker down and hang on. Cash was king, and you had to hang on to that and, just sell everything you can. But I think it also became very interesting when brick and mortar was closed. You weren't worried about what the competition was doing. It's what am I doing on my e-commerce site right now? And that direct to consumer aspect really came into play. But the camaraderie is definitely, I think, almost stronger than ever. The industry, this industry, surf industry, has survived for many years and years, and in a position of strength, because it does openly talk to itself. It communicates, it moves. It's a living organism, as opposed to just competitive people that want to crush and destroy one another. It's how can we build the overall industry? And that's more important now than ever, because people will find something to do. And if we're not telling a good collective story, they'll go do something else. So, there's no organized sports right now. There's very little out there other than what people can access in their own environment. And that's a great story for us to be telling collectively.
This is kind of speculation here, but it also feels a little bit like, almost a little pressure was taken off that, direct to consumer versus traditional retail channels thing, where we saw it for the first time functioning as an ecosystem and kind of working together just to get as much stuff out there as, they could have. And of course there's, little challenges of how much product do I give to what retailer and things are there, but, decent product. Do you feel like there's been a little bit of progress in that direction?
I do. And again, I think what the pandemic has done is given a little more definition to each channel, if you will. So here's my e-commerce, my direct to consumer. Here's all my other e-commerce business and what that should look like. You were forced to understand every aspect of it quickly. But then it was, how quickly can I serve my stores? Because they're asking for more product. They had to cancel orders, and then everybody ramped back up and said, actually, I could use those orders now. And the brands were quick to respond to that. So I definitely think there's a bit more clear definition of each of those roles. And I think the brick and mortar stores all of those retail shops will be happy to see that direct to consumer, e-commerce, and their store all have a role to play. And it's not, this is killing this is going to supplant this. It's, as you put it, it's 3 different ecosystems creating one little universe.
Well, Sean, we always appreciate your transparency and insight, and as we continue to hope for the best in the fall and winter, let's keep in touch, hopefully continue these conversations, and thanks for all the work you've been doing to keep the industry together.
I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you very much for all that you do, and you guys take care.
All right, see you. Thanks, Sean.